Yeah, inshallah, like 2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say we're going to start the program in 1 minute. Can we bring? Hey Joe, can we rip this?
What's up?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. If you can please take your seats, we are about to bring the program. We're going to have much time to mingle. So if everyone can please take your seats, we understand these are important conversations, but inshallah we're about to hear from our speakers, and we are about to start in less than a minute. So if everyone, you can please take your seats at this time, we'd really appreciate it. And everyone in the back, we see you. If you can start sitting down, come in the back. We'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much for those in the back coming through. And if everyone can have a seat, we'd really appreciate it. We're about to start in 1 minute. And we're going to start with or without you standing. Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan.
Why do you think I'm wearing a suit?
Yeah.
It's all about optics.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everyone, out of respect, we are about to begin our Quran recitation. For those who may not know our culture, we ask for silence during the Quran recitation, and that's out of respect. So we would ask you all to take a seat and pay respect to the Quran that's about to be recited at this time. Jazakallah khairan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. ولقد وصينا الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم وإياكم أن اتقوا الله وإن تكفروا فإن لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وكان الله غنيا حميدا ولله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وكفى بالله وكيلا إن يشأ يذهبكم أيها الناس ويأتي بآخرين وكان الله على ذلك قديرا من كان يريد ثواب الدنيا فعند الله ثواب الدنيا والآخرة وكان الله سميعا بصيرا يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله ولو على أنفسكم أو الوالدين والأقربين إن يكن غنيا أو فقيرا فالله أولى بهما فلا تتبعوا الهوى أن تعدلوا وإن تلووا أو تعرضوا فإن الله كان بما تعملون خبيرا يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله ولو على أنفسكم أو الوالدين والأقربين إن يكن غنيا أو فقيرا فالله أولى بهما فلا تتبعوا الهوى أن تعدلوا وإن تلووا أو تعرضوا فإن الله كان بما تعملون خبيرا يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله ولو على أنفسكم أو الوالدين والأقربين إن يكن غنيا أو فقيرا فالله أولى بهما فلا تتبعوا الهوى أن تعدلوا وإن تلووا أو تعرضوا فإن الله كان بما تعملون خبيرا صدق الله العظيم.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shagufta Sayeeda. I'm a law clerk at CAIR-Chicago, and I feel truly honored to be able to translate this surah. It's one of my favorites, Surah Al-Nisa, and it's chapter 4 from verses 131 to 135. Here it goes. Everything in the heavens and the earth belongs to God. We have commanded those who were given the scripture before you, and we command you to be mindful of God. Even if you do ignore him, everything in the heavens and the earth belongs to him. And he is self-sufficient, worthy of all praise. Yes, indeed, everything in the heavens and the earth belongs to God, and he is enough for those who trust in him. If he so willed, he could remove you altogether and replace you with new people. He has full power to do so. If some want the rewards of this world, the rewards of this world and the next are both God's to give. He hears and sees everything. You who believe, uphold justice and bear witness to God, even if it is against yourselves, your parents, or your close relatives. Whether the person is rich or poor, God can best take care of both. Refrain from following your own desire so that you can act justly. If you distort or neglect justice, God is fully aware of what you do. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good evening. My name is Maggie, and I'm the operations manager for CAIR-Chicago. Good evening on behalf of the board of directors, staff, and interns of CAIR-Chicago. It is an honor to welcome you to our 20th annual dinner. We are a sold-out event, you all. MashaAllah. You all believe as we do in standing up to hate and not backing down. You inspire us. This evening we're going to hear from a lot of really special folks. So please, we'll watch a short film, enjoy dinner, seek your support to keep doing our work, and reflect together on where we are and where we're going. What I had written for my opening remarks a month ago is almost unrecognizable from what I want to say to you all this evening. What I had written previously has taken a heartbreaking turn. We are without a doubt living in unpredictable, scary, and tumultuous times. Every day brings a brand new news story. People who are suffering tremendously and dying under occupation in Palestine. Migrants detained at the border and bused to foreign cities against their will. Mosques and community members threatened and harassed. And tragically, the murder of Wadia al-Fiyumi, whose death I know we are still struggling to wrap our heads around. Like most of you, we have witnessed over the last month or so a cycle full of anti-Muslim and anti-immigrant rhetoric. Incidents of hate have never been so high. Just 2 nights ago, a person called CAIR frantically at 9 p.m., and I was still picking up the phone because of the banquet, as he had just been attacked by an individual with a knife and was scared. All of these things have brought out emotions within us that we hope that we would never have to face. Fear. I'm afraid. I'm afraid for my brothers and sisters and their safety, for the sisters so easily identifiable with their hijab, calling CAIR, asking what to do, for the sisters ridiculed and mocked by people who are brainwashed into thinking that Muslims are the enemy. I'm afraid for the families, such as the family who called the other night, who were approached by someone in their car who was screaming at them about Palestine. Rage. I'm angry. I'm furious that the Constitution is being trampled upon, that the very promises and ideals that America stands for, equality, justice, freedom, still are yet to be realized by so many in our community. Hope, but I am hopeful. Each day that I get a kind email, a kind phone call, the Jewish, the Sikhs, Christian communities, that restores my faith in humanity. And journalists from all over the world have called and wanting Wadia's story to be told, for example. I look around this room and my heart is overjoyed seeing the support from our mosques, our community organizations, our elected officials and staff, and all of our allies. The diversity in this room represents the best of our communities. Tonight, we reaffirm our commitment to never, ever stop fighting for you. We promise to show up. We promise to speak up for all of those facing hate and injustice. On your table this evening, there are a few items that I want to point your attention to, the first being the program booklet. I'm sure you guys have already looked at this. But the other that I would like to, something I would like to point out, especially in the program booklet, is the last couple of pages. Our sponsors, thank you so much, Jazakumullahu khairan, for making this night possible. Thank you so, so much. You'll see the dinner menu, and also there's ways that you can donate throughout the night. Please take a look through. And you also have a freshly minted annual report in the middle of your table, so please do feel free to take a look at that. And also donation envelopes look like this. So when our motivational comes around, if you would be so willing, that would be great also. So it's an honor to introduce to you our first speaker of the evening, State Representative Abdul Naser Rashid. State Representative Abdul Naser Rashid is a Democratic member of the Illinois House of Representatives for the 21st District. The district includes the southwest side and southwest suburbs. Abdul Naser Rashid's career has been focused on fighting for working families and building a strong middle class. He holds a Bachelor of Arts from Harvard University and a Master of Business Administration in Finance and Economics from the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. His legislative priorities include property tax relief, affordable housing, environmental protection, and consumer protection. He is a former Deputy Chief of Staff to Cook County Clerk David Orr, former Field Director for Chuy Garcia for Mayor, and former Illinois Deputy State Director Bernie Sanders for President. Rashid is the first Palestinian American to serve in the Illinois House of Representatives, and along with Nabila Sayed, is the first Muslim in the Illinois House of Representatives. Please welcome Abdul Naser.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Yeah. Thank you so much, Maggie, for that introduction. What an incredible crowd. Before we sat down, just talking to everyone and seeing this room has been just a breath of fresh air, honestly, given everything that's been happening over the last few weeks. Let me start by congratulating CAIR on 20 years of service and dedication to our community. CAIR has been an absolutely inspirational organization for everything that it's been doing to protect our civil rights, to make sure to work the media, to represent Muslims. Over the last few weeks, I think we see just how powerful and how important that work has been. I talked to Ahmed a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned to me, we've got the fundraiser coming up, and it's been a bit difficult to spend some time on it. And I felt for him in that moment, but I also came to realize very quickly that this is probably the best time to gather here to support CAIR, because their work has been showcased for all of us to see and to inspire us because of just how powerful and how effective they have been. I want to commend the staff and the board of CAIR, and of course the force of nature that is Ahmed Rehab. Let's give them all a round of applause. This is a heavy time for all of us, and I want to thank everyone in this room for everything that you've been doing to give a voice to the voiceless, to help stop the unfolding genocide before our eyes, and that's happening in Gaza, to the shame of the United States government that is allowing it to happen, and to the shame of elected officials who are standing by and refusing to call for a ceasefire. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to end by reminding us that we all have a right to feel safe in our communities, in our homes, in our schools, in our workplaces. And that is why it is so important to be supporting CAIR today. CAIR's work to defend, not only to speak up for us in the media, but also to defend our civil rights, to defend our constitutional rights, to protect us with those rights that are afforded to us by the law, couldn't be more important than it is today. And so please make sure, one, that if something happens, if you encounter an incident, a hate crime, harassment, or something happens to someone you know or to a child at school, that you reach out to the appropriate authorities, whether it is law enforcement, whether it is the school board, hate crime commissions, and of course, CAIR-Chicago. It's one of the things that I say to people all the time. Talk to the appropriate authority and call CAIR, because they're documenting all this information and making it very useful for us as they advocate for the future. So I'm not going to get ahead of myself here, but whatever goal Ahmed and the CAIR team have established for themselves today, I hope that we don't simply reach it and exceed it. We should be doubling it and more. So with that, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you again for everything that you're doing, and please do everything that you can to support CAIR today. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, Representative Abdul Naser Rashid. Okay, so now we'll hear from Representative Nabila Syed. Representative Nabila Syed is a Democratic member of the Illinois House of Representatives for the 51st District. Nabila is an advocate for the issues most important to us, including healthcare, education, taxes, and equal rights. Nabila has been an active voice for our community, especially those who are underserved and underrepresented in government institutions. Most recently, she served as a campaign manager for a Township High School District 211 school board member Tim McGowan. Yes, a campaign that emphasized the values of accountability, community, and equity in school. Nabila has worked with a variety of organizations, including Emily's List, to raise money to elect Democrats to Congress. Nabila graduated from the University of California, Berkeley, with a degree in political science and business administration, where she served as a president of a pro bono consulting organization assisting local businesses and nonprofits. Please welcome Representative Nabila Syed.
Can you hear me okay? Yes, okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Nabila Syed, and I'm a state representative here in Illinois. Oh, thank you. When CAIR reached out to me to invite me to this event over a month ago, I would have never imagined how sad and hurt our community would be here today. With over 8,000 Palestinians killed, hundreds of thousands injured, thousands still stuck under the rubble, like all of you, I feel like it's hard to speak. It's hard to think of anything else. Thank you. A few weeks ago, I joined others, some of my colleagues, in calling for peace and de-escalation. But the response to calling for peace and de-escalation was astounding. I started receiving emails, phone calls. My political opponents started putting out press releases with this hateful narrative being driven that we were standing with terrorists for calling for peace. Conflating calls for peace with support for terrorism is dangerous. These claims can lead to the hatred of entire nationalities, ethnicities, and religions who are deemed terrorist sympathizers for simply asking that people be given basic human rights. And we have seen the most horrific effects of this within our state when a 6-year-old Palestinian boy, Wadea, was stabbed 26 times in front of his mother. Like many of you, at first I felt alone in my opinions. I felt like people wanted to make me feel crazy for calling for peace. I felt like if I continued to speak out, people would isolate me. And like many of you, I felt scared. But today, I don't feel scared. I don't feel isolated. I don't feel alone. I don't feel crazy because we are not alone. I was with my mother in Chicago yesterday, marching down the street with people of all different backgrounds, Muslim, non-Muslim, hearing from stories from a Palestinian doctor, a rabbi, activists, and organizers, all calling for something as basic as a ceasefire. 20,000 people in Chicago, 15,000 in San Francisco, 500,000 people in London. From Scotland to Greece to Ireland to Indonesia to Turkey, people are raising their voices loudly. Students in high school are staging walkouts, they're marching down the street, they're organizing on Roblox. For those of you that don't know, Roblox is a game, and these kids are having virtual protests on these games, subhanAllah. And just because the media won't cover it, it does not mean that we aren't here. You know, I'm 24 years old. I was the youngest Democratic woman elected to the state house. And I was born in 1999, and I grew up post 9/11, where I felt like if I didn't stand up prim and proper for the pledge, people would think that I didn't love my country. This was me as a kid. I grew up looking over my shoulder. I wear a hijab, looking over my shoulder, worried if someone would attack me, if someone would hurt me, because you never know when it could happen. We will not let our next generation grow up like that. We will empower our next generation to feel proud of their identity, to know that our religion is a religion that calls for peace, to know that they are not alone, and to know that we have their backs, as well as many other people in this world. And I just have a few parting thoughts. I'm sorry, I've been talking for a while, but we owe a lot of gratitude here today to CAIR and to Ahmed Rehab for gathering us all here. They have been working nonstop around the clock to protect our community. Congratulations on 20 years of service, and please, for those of you that have already donated, please donate more. Please let their work continue because they are serving us all. And then I also wanted to say a second note, thank you so much to my colleague Abdul Naser Rashid. Representative Rashid and I, we sit next to each other on the House floor. Our offices are right next to each other, and I am so in awe of his courage and of his conviction. He made history as the first Palestinian in the Illinois General Assembly, and I'm so proud to serve with you. Two more notes. We need a ceasefire, and we need to demand every single person elected to stand on the side of humanity. So to all of you in this room, to the elected officials in this room, please, please recognize that there is no tiptoeing around this moment when over 3,500 children have been killed. And lastly, the last thing, I'm sorry, I know that I'm running a little late. I just want to say to our community, please do not let hatred blind you. Do not speak casually or recklessly about different communities, about the Jewish community, about the Muslim community, about people who may or may not share your values and your beliefs. Speak with conviction, speak with truth, speak with kindness and compassion, and never forget that calling for peace, calling for a ceasefire is the only compassionate response in this moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Nabila. Thank you so much to Representative Abdul Naser. Okay, you guys, so salads are picked up. Soup is gonna come out, inshallah. And then we'll just have about 15, 20 minutes break for dinner. So please enjoy your dinner, and we'll pick up the program at about 7 o'clock, inshallah. Okay, enjoy your dinner. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. We hope you're enjoying your dinner. Just a couple of things before we move on with our program. I would love to do a massive thank you to all of our sponsors that made this evening and make our work possible. At the diamond level, mashallah, we have the Mecca Center. Also at the diamond level, Mosque Foundation. Also at the diamond level, the Islamic Center of Naperville. Woo! Also at diamond level, Zakat Foundation. And Ifanka, thank you so much for your generous support. At the gold level, we have DIC, the Downtown Islamic Center. Come on, guys, give us some love. We have the Orland Park Prayer Center. We have MCC. IFN, Islamic Foundation North. Whoa, yes, we have excited folks back there. Yes, love that. We have Prius Projects. At the silver level, we have Ileana. Yes, ooh, yes. We have MPI Media. We have AMCO. Yes, give everybody love. We have the ICW, the Islamic Center of Wheaton. Yes. We have ISNS, the Islamic Society of the Northwest Suburbs. Oh, yes, yes, give yourselves love. And we also have Beledi Markets. Yeah. At the bronze level, we have a lot. So I'm going to go quickly. We have PETA Inn, Hugh Sokol Piers Resnick Dime Ltd, Fawaz Kanut Muntada, Amana Saturna, Islamic Relief, Iman Fund, Universal School, Sabah, and I have to give a special shout out to Sabah, who has answered every single one of my emails and every one of my phone calls in the most timely manner, so thank you. ICNA Relief, the Becca Center, Midwest Foot and Ankle Clinic, yes, Saks Tech Solutions, and American Islamic College AIC, who pulled up at the very last minute. Jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you again all so much for your support. Okay. So and our friends and supporters, of course. How could I forget that? How could I miss that? We have Jewish Voice for Peace. Where's Jewish Voice for Peace? I know they're here, yes. We have Asian Americans Advancing Justice, AAAJ. Where are you guys at? Oh, okay. We have CIOGCs here in the house. Shy Cares, Brother Farhan is here with us in the house. Muslim Civic Coalition's here. I know he's here, yes. We have the Japanese American Citizens League. Yes, you guys. We have Sufyan Sohel, yes. And we have Alwan Printing. Yes, okay, amazing. Okay. All right, y'all. So we're about to start our short film. The documentary that we're about to watch is a window into the work of CAIR-Chicago. I hope that it shows you an insight into our commitment to justice and protecting your civil rights. Gushlu, our filmmaker, worked really hard and under a really tight deadline to make this possible. So please do enjoy the short film. Thank you.
We all know the story of the Prophet Yusuf, where he was left behind and forgotten, and there was no one to come to his aid. But Allah remembered him, and he had others come to help him and provided a means for him to alleviate his trial. And that is how CAIR came to our aid as well. CAIR has always, listened to my cry, to, listen to my pain, and they have come to my aid in helping us not only with my husband's trial, but also mine as well.
There really is no other resource here in Chicago like CAIR-Chicago, because we are a one-stop shop basically for every type of discrimination that comes through the community here.
We are the first responders to things like immigration, assistance, asylum, any kind of discrimination that people may face.
In this country, we have rule of law, which means that everyone is entitled to rights under the Constitution. However, we see countless cases of people being discriminated against, even by government actors, even by people who want to discriminate against people because of where they're from or what their beliefs are. At CAIR-Chicago, we seek to fight for the rights of Muslim Americans so we can ensure that everyone is held to the same standard of the law.
No one should be forced into accepting being mistreated, talked down to, have their humanity downplayed, have opportunities taken away from them, have to change who they are, relinquish any part of their beliefs or their identity in order to be accepted, in order to have a chance in this society. Whether it is in education, in housing, in jobs, in government, in travel, while driving a car. And so long as that is forced upon segments of our population, including Muslims, and we're specific to that group, we will stand up and say, no way, not on our watch. And so we help our community members ensure that they can live proud, happy, fulfilled lives while Muslim, without having to compromise on any aspect of their identity or beliefs.
My name is Muhammad Mahmoud. Where working with CAIR-Chicago it was a smooth process. I felt that I'm back with my family, where I need support. I can just text someone or call someone. Having CAIR-Chicago approaching both personal and legally to support me in both, that was what made me restore faith in humanity. It changed me mentally. It improved my mental health.
We get a lot of calls on a daily basis, and it's really important for me to be that front line of communication for people who need assistance. There are a lot of Islamic values that are in activism. I think it's important that we center that and that we remember that. The first one being the commitment to social justice and the commitment to supporting one another.
CAIR-Chicago is the first stop for media to understand the different perspectives and issues that Muslim Americans face.
CAIR-Chicago called for more security and more awareness about the conflict.
Muslim kids are especially vulnerable right now, and to understand the need for security at schools.
This is a conversation we're just going to have. I mean, there's a cognitive dissonance that we're experiencing here. Ironically, just before this segment discussing the brutalizing of this family, there was a segment discussing the potential imminent threat from the Muslim community. And it's reports like that this evil man was watching, and he got radicalized by the coverage of the media that has been consistently lopsided and one-sided, not unlike, frankly, what I'm seeing on CNN and other networks, statements from politicians. And this caused this man who otherwise had been normal to flip, become radicalized, become a monster. So I think we need to not dissociate how we talk about the issues, how we dehumanize Palestinians, how we erase their suffering, from how certain people flip and radicalize and commit these crimes.
I think your point is certainly not lost on me, and particularly the way that we speak about, in a detached way it might appear.
As much as we can collectively condemn terrorism, we must collectively condemn war crimes, shutting off of water, electricity, food, bombing of hospitals. We need to have an adult conversation. We have a cartoonish atmosphere right now in which we demonize an entire population and make them ripe for the killing.
He hit the nail on the head in terms of how a lot of us are struggling to find ways to talk about what's happening in the Middle East and how it's being said and what the focus is, and whether it's demonization or information, how does it all come out?
A Chicago activist group says many Muslim students have been the victims of bullying because of their race and religion.
But they are on a mission to stop it.
Civil rights group is launching a new anti-bullying project. Chicago chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, says some students feel their complaints aren't being taken seriously by school officials.
And today, the organization launched a new anti-bullying effort called Hillsters.org to put a stop to what organizers say is an uptick in bullying cases.
And in that project, we basically make ourselves available to students who have been experiencing bullying, whether it's by school administrators or staff or teachers or by students. When they go to school, they should feel safe. They should feel like they can learn in a safe environment and not be abused or subjected to harassment on a regular basis.
CAIR-Chicago prides itself on working with interns to allow them to foster their different skills and aspirations and passions to help CAIR-Chicago ultimately meet their mission, which is to, again, fight Islamophobia in America.
CAIR-Chicago has graduated over 1,000 interns from all walks of life. Interns, they do the bulk of our work, honestly.
I think CAIR-Chicago is an important organization because there is not enough people doing nonprofit work in especially immigration, but also in any sort of discrimination against minorities, harassment of minorities work.
As a Muslim woman that wears hijab, I get stares and they'll just say rude comments. And so I think like just this space in general makes me feel I can, just be myself without any judgment, and then also help other Muslim women out there who, probably face the same thing as me every single day.
We're here to fight with you along the entire course until you get your justice. CAIR-Chicago is the only Muslim civil rights organization in the state of Illinois, and certainly in the city of Chicago.
CAIR-Chicago has experienced and passionate attorneys working every single day to make sure that your rights are protected.
We're only as strong as our ability to fight for our rights.
If I don't stand up for somebody else, I shouldn't expect anybody else to stand up for me.
CAIR has helped our family in so many ways. We are taught to fight for injustices across the world. Not many come to our aid when we are in need. CAIR made a difference. They always let us know that they are there, and so we are grateful and hopeful knowing that we have someone who can help us through the many difficulties and trials that we face.
All right, you all, one more time for our really, really hardworking filmmaker, Gushlu Koseli. He couldn't join us tonight, but he worked really hard on that. Okay, and our next speaker needs absolutely no introduction. Please welcome our Executive Director, Ahmed Rehab.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Blessings and peace be upon you all, our wonderful, powerful, fearless Muslim community here in Chicago and allies. Thank you for being here tonight. I say fearless because if you have faith, you cannot have fear. If you have faith, you cannot have fear because you understand, as we Muslims say, you heard us say it at prayer just a few moments ago before the banquet. Allahu Akbar, we say. God is great. God is greater. Greater than what? Fill in the blanks. If there is tyranny, there is a God who is greater. If there is hunger, if there is famine, if there is disease, if there is murder, if there is hate crimes, if there are any challenges, we believe that God is greater than all of these things. And we draw our power, faith in God, in order to meet the challenges that He allows to exist. This isn't paradise. It was never designed to be paradise. This is earth. There is pain, there is suffering. That's not a surprise. How we respond to it is the singular task that we must engage ourselves in. Ask yourself, what is my role at this moment in order for me to sail through this tribulation and to register my faith in God? That is what we Muslims believe, and that is what drives me at this moment and every moment in this activism. It must be built on our spirituality and our values. Before we came here a few days ago, there was a campaign by the Zionist Organization of America to shut down this hall. They were proudly issuing press releases and action alerts calling on individuals to flood Drury Lane with calls in order to cancel our event. They did the same thing, unfortunately, with the CAIR National Office, and the Marriott, I believe it was, canceled the event. They cowered in fear and they shut them down, and they had to move to a mosque. They did the same thing with the AMP here, the American Muslims for Palestine. I think it was the Hyatt, for the November event that's always in Chicago, and they also, unfortunately, cowered in fear and shut down that event. They try to do this here, but instead we have a sold-out house of 1,000 of our community members. We shut them down. And it isn't because we are better than CAIR National or better than AMP. We're in this together. But it's because Drury Lane stood with us, and I want to give them a shout out. They understood what hate mongers look like and how they sound like, and they understand the message we've been putting on this stage for 19 years now. Engagement is key. Building relationships is key. Changing hearts and mind is key. We speak tonight at a difficult moment, at a major challenge in our history as American Muslims, both locally and in lieu of international affairs. I kid you not when I say that this is probably the craziest, busiest time for me in my office, including in the post-9/11 aftermath. This is a crazier time in many ways, and I'll explain why I say that. It isn't just in terms of the spike in hate crimes and hate incidents, or the nature of these incidents. One of them that we all know about, the murder, the brutal stabbing of a 6-year-old boy 26 times by a man, a veteran, who was yelling, "All Muslims must die." You know, as I was writing a press release about another hate crime, I stepped out of my home office for a breather. And I came back to my computer, and I saw that one of my young sons, I have 3, had laid some Legos, a little house, a little castle, a bunch of Lego pieces, right on the laptop, right on the paperwork. And my first instinct was, oh, not now, not here. Let me clean up this clutter. But then I stood for a moment, and I contrasted the Lego and right behind it, the screen and the heavy material that I was working on the screen. And at that moment, I thought about what a child thinks of versus what we adults are dealing with and putting them through. A few more days later, woke up in the morning, my kids were running around. They heard me coming down, they tried to hide. I pretended to look for them, we played a little hide and seek. I could see them sticking out from behind a couch and from behind a table. I pretended I couldn't see them. They were giggling with excitement, even though it was so clear and obvious that I could see them, but they are children. And as I passed them by, they had a huge sense of accomplishment. We were able to hide. And again, I thought about the world of children. My brothers and sisters, we stand today at a moment in which 3,000 children like them are slaughtered from the skies by the blessings of the civilized world as a counter-terrorism initiative. And these children are forced to play hide and seek, but it isn't with their parents. It's with armed men, with artillery, and helicopters and airplanes. And oftentimes they don't make it out of the game. And again, this is happening on our watch. And look, horrible things have happened before around the world. But what's so crazy about this is not only are we not condemning the obvious, these are children. 3,000. There's 1,000 people in the sold-out room, mashallah. Just imagine for a visual, this room expanded 3 times in any direction you want, and fill it with children around the tables. And that's what we're talking about. 7,000 civilians. It isn't just the children. It's the mothers and fathers whose lives matter also. 7 times this room. A collateral damage. What's unique about what's happening in Palestine, and Gaza is part of Palestine, what's unique about that is that it is happening with our silence, no, worse than silence, with our blessing, with the blessing of our leaders. Not just in words and moral blessing, giving their moral blessings to it as the right thing to do, the moment for us to rise to moral leadership, but through funding billions of dollars and providing machinery and weaponry to engage in these war crimes. We have to call them for what they are, war crimes. Genocide, ethnic cleansing. And the reason I begin with this isn't because suddenly we've veered our mission into talking about global affairs, but this is an interconnected world. And the death of this young man in our backyard, this young 6-year-old Palestinian who was stabbed 26 times, is not dissociated or divorced from what is happening in Gaza. It isn't divorced from the reaction of our leaders and the support for what is happening and what this has done in terms of creating an atmosphere of dehumanization. That is the word I want everybody to remember today. That is what we are ultimately fighting. That has always been the problem. It was the problem when the Belgians murdered millions of Congolese in Africa, and nobody batted an eye. The Belgians at the time were seen as civilized, and the Congolese as barbaric, as savage. Dehumanization was at play when the British murdered to extinction the native inhabitants of the island of Tasmania that I had the privilege of visiting south of Australia, hunting them like rabbits while wearing white gloves and their pinkies sticking as they drink their tea. Civilized. What is civilized and what is barbaric? And today, this dehumanization continues and is necessary in order to be able to pull off what is morally unconscionable and get away with it, or so they think. It was necessary when the United States went on an ill-fated, misguided war in Iraq that caused the murder of 1 million people. Dehumanization was necessary. And by extension, those who try to speak out and fight this dehumanization and cause a problem for this war machine, for this military-industrial complex, need to be dehumanized in equal measure and censored so that their voice and their pushback can be nipped at the buds. And that is what the Zionist Organization of America's effort was all about. They understand that CAIR-Chicago is an effective organization. They don't mind having thousands protesting and chanting, but they don't want organizations that are able to talk to the media, talk to the halls of power, build up local leadership. We need our voices on the streets. I joined these rallies and these protests, strengthen numbers, and we need the institutions. And it tells me that we're doing something right if they're trying to shut the institutions down from speaking. Our voices are our power. This institution, CAIR-Chicago, was built by you in order to give power to your voices through our work. When we talk about CAIR-Chicago, we're not talking about the staff and the board and the volunteers. The real organization is everybody in this room and beyond, because we all have different roles to play. The community gave us the mandate to speak for it, to fight for it. They fund us, they support us, they show up, You are part and parcel of this organization. And we want to identify key narratives to dissect, analyze, and expose. And the first is dehumanization. My brothers and sisters and friends and allies, this isn't about a political discussion of one state, two state. That's not what CAIR-Chicago does. I've never had that conversation with anybody. This is about the basic, logical, rational position of a moral, you would think, human being, that human life is important, is valuable. That whatever gaslighting you can engage in, and both Abdul Naser and Nabila mentioned how just standing up for human rights, a message that they share out there, just standing up for life can be seen because someone is Muslim or someone supports life for Palestinians, how dare they, that they're supporting terrorism. That is gaslighting. And I want to make very clear for those, every time I'm in the media and they want to bring in, do you condemn Hamas? No. Do you condemn Hamas? Do you condemn Hamas? Let me make this as clear as possible. For anyone to say the H word every time a conversation about Palestinian lives and livelihood is discussed, every time they bring up that word, that is your first red flag that this isn't about history, human rights, what is right, what is good. This is a dirty, cheap little political discussion. It's not as if our moral position is not clear. And let's, for the record, state it. As a Muslim, I stand against the death, the targeting of civilians of any background, religion, ethnicity, or nationality, including the ones in Israel. And I don't say this because it's the right PR thing to say. I don't say this in order to just, go around the conversation and then get to what I want to talk about. These are our religious values. These are our genuinely held religious beliefs. But for us to be able to have the courage to say that, and then look around us in our society and see complete cowardice from so many circles, to be able to say the same thing when it comes to Palestinians, then it is us who have to say, do you condemn what is happening to these people? There isn't a single mosque. There isn't a single center. Let's be clear, all right? Let's be ultra clear that has a sign, I stand with Hamas. Have you ever seen one? I challenge anyone to find a sign on any mosque or front lawn belonging to a Muslim that has such a sign. And yet we're asked time and time again, do you condemn? Do you condemn? But I look around in my communities and I see in front of synagogues and centers, I stand with Israel. So I think it's fair for me to say, what do you stand with? When at the moment the right-wing Israeli government is engaged in these genocidal tactics for political purposes, well beyond responding to the murder of Israeli civilians, then I must ask, do you stand with that? When these human beings are called human animals by a leader in that military, not by some, distant blogger who has nothing to do with this organization, this entity that is the Israeli army, I must ask, do you stand with that? When 3,000 children die and we don't hear condemnations, we don't hear cries of sorrow, we don't see rallies or protests or letters of support or our elected officials standing up and saying, this is morally wrong, we must ask, what do you stand with? That is for us to ask. We have to pivot from being on the defensive to being on the offensive, because we have nothing to apologize for. And those who stand with genocide have everything to apologize for. And it is this environment that has created what we are seeing now at CAIR-Chicago, this dehumanization. That is at the heart of these hate crimes. When that is all you hear in the media, and the media has been incredibly lopsided and one-sided, it is incredible for me to say that the most honest media in the United States today is the onion. That is the God-honest truth. It's crazy. There is fear. There are those in journalism, in media, that understand what's going on, that have the right moral compass, but there is fear from the monopolized line, that you can't go there, you can't say this, you can't show these images. And let me be clear, and I've said this in the media countless times, dehumanization happens in two ways, not one. One is assertion. That's probably what everybody's familiar with. That means when somebody asserts, these are human animals, human shields, whatever narratives that dehumanize Palestinians is different and apart from the rest of humanity. But in addition to the assertion, there is the omission, by omission, when the suffering is not shown, when the children dying are not talked about, when the everyday life of Palestinians is never mentioned, as if they're a bunch of militants, 2 million of them, sitting there with guns, just waiting for the next attack or the next raid. There is no sense of a Palestinian street, a Palestinian family. These people have weddings, and they have parties, and they have birthdays, and they have funerals, and they have grandmothers, and they have hospitals and clinics, and they have everyday life. But you'll be forgiven to believe that none of this exists because you never see it. We're not allowed to see it, because if you see it, you may feel sorry for them. You may actually have a heart and say, oh my God, this is wrong, and start calling your elected officials or writing letters to the editor, so you're not allowed to see it. Omission is dehumanization. So in our capacity at CAIR-Chicago, we fight dehumanization in pushing back against the assertive statements that are hateful and unfair and unjust, and by shedding light in the spaces where cameras don't want to point their lenses and light doesn't want to shine. By telling these stories, by speaking to the human beings at the center of this, and not falling in the back and forth about do you condemn this or that. This is about injustice. If a media or politician is talking about Palestine to the American people and fails to mention the word oppression, they are lying to the American people. If they talk to the American people to try to explain this complex, long-term historical situation without mentioning the word occupation, they are lying to the American people. And furthermore, if they talk about Israel as a monolith, we stand with Israel, without allowing the nuanced understanding of the reality that Israel has far-right Likud genocidal goons, and it has people who are for peace and who hate what is going on and are trying to speak out, much like our Jewish communities here in the United States, they are lying to the American people. It is crazy to me that our president, who, to my understanding, is a progressive liberal president, is supporting the most far-right coalition in Israel ever. You know, think about this. There is no liberal, progressive, Democrat president in the United States who would give 1/10, 1/100th of this support to someone like that here, to a far-right leader here. But somehow when it comes to Israel, it feels normal. And the American people, because they don't know any better, it's just Israel. Yeah, we support Israel. But it's insane when you think about it. And secondly, and similarly to this point, every political leader here of any party has no problem standing up and criticizing an American president of the same party or of an opposing party in strong, stern words, including in the middle of war. But somehow when it comes to a foreign leader, none of these leaders think that they can stand up and put any criticism to this foreign leader. Isn't that insane? That is something really, really interesting. Our own country, they have the courage to face up to the leadership. But for a foreign country, they don't. My friends, we are in the middle of a battle for the soul of America. This isn't just about Palestine. This isn't just about the Middle East. It isn't even just about the Muslim community, which is being drawn into the atmosphere that's created by the cowardice of the media and politicians, allowing or putting our community as sitting ducks to these attacks that we're trying to fight. It isn't just hate crimes, it's hate incidents, it's censorship, it's harassment, it's bullying at schools, on the streets. The cases we are getting, 17 times as many as we would get in a period like this, are of all of these types. And one area that stuns me is bullying from companies, corporate entities. I've never seen this before, not even post 9/11. We're talking about a corporate board that would see fit to send a letter as if it were a foreign embassy that was obliged to comment on foreign affairs and take a stern, strong, narrow position on a fluid situation and force that upon the rest of the employees. And of course, because there is a power dynamic, there is an injustice in the situation that if you're an employee whose livelihood depends on your career, on your work, on your job, you're going to have to zip the lip and keep walking. You'll be afraid of retaliation. And these letters will rightly express support for civilians who are dying on one side, but have nothing to say about the many more thousands dying on the other. They'll provide charitable links for one side, but disallow charitable links for the other. They will say we provide psychosocial services for those who are impacted by what is happening to one side, but nothing about what is happening to the other. So much for diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI has failed the first real stress test. Because, you know, they come to our community, these corporate leaders, and they talk about these things, and we engage them, but we are done with talk. This is a time for action. This is a time to call out whatever hypocrisy, whatever double standard, whatever bait and switch we are facing. When I say fearless, and we began with fearless, that is what we ought to do now, without fear of consequences. Without fear, everything is in God's hands. Nothing is in the hands of a corporation or a foreign or domestic military. This is what may seem to be the case, but in reality, there is a just, all-seeing God. And our role as Muslims, and our role as people of faith and people of conscience, whatever drives you, whatever sense of moral compass drives you, is to not be afraid to stand up to injustice, to double standards, and to hypocrisy, and to speak truth to power just like our young leaders were doing here and do every day in Springfield. And we need to understand the nuances of this work. There are I want to close with a few clear items for us to keep in mind. What can you do? We come here today and I feel the apprehension in the community. I feel a sense of fear in some quarters, including among some leaders. Can we say this? Can we say that? Can we do this? Can we do that? Because they're coming down hard. I mean, I've never seen a student group be targeted by a Senate resolution calling them terrorist sympathizers or terrorist supporters. The Students for Justice in Palestine, SJP, a Senate resolution. These are students, American students, engaged in peaceful protest. They're being doxxed, they're being harassed and bullied, and now the highest echelons of the power dynamics of America are putting them in their target, in their laser, as a threat. What happened to freedom of speech? What happened to organizing on campus? What happens to the days of student activism during the Vietnam War? What happened to American pastime of speaking your conscience without fear? What is happening to this country under this leadership? Americans need to understand that this issue, the reason why Israel-Palestine is so important, because it is the most corrosive issue inside the entire barrel of corruption that we have in Washington, D.C. and beyond. And that if we allow leaders who are beholden to special interest to run the conversation, to get to decide what is the moral compass of this nation, what is right and what is wrong, and other power structures to get to decide what's on the media, what you see and what you don't see, and get to decide what you can say and can't say, and when you can say it or can't say it, where you can organize or can't organize. If we allow that, then that is the real end of America as we know it. We are fighting for the soul of this country through the work that we do. This isn't just about Muslim civil rights. And we're not fighting alone. Have you seen the African American voices? Obviously, we have a lot in our Muslim community, but beyond, who've stood up courageously. Have you seen the Latino voices? Have you heard the Asian voices? Have you seen the Jewish voices? And these voices are loud, and you can't miss them. And so we pledge that just as we fight against the monolithizing of Islam and Muslims into its worst possible iteration, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, this or that, we will never allow the monolithization or the monolithizing of any other community. We recognize that communities have diversity in them. And with us tonight are Jewish leaders whose voices have been ultra clear, not just on October 7th and after, in terms of condemning, of course, what happened there, but also what is happening to the Palestinians, but since day one. And I want to recognize these leaders who are with us tonight from the JVP, Judy Levy from JCUA, and Kalman Resnick, who is one of my biggest allies. Jews for Justice and Jewish Voices for Peace. They have held loud rallies calling for a ceasefire. They have brought 150,000 letters against what is happening to the desks of elected officials. 150,000 letters. They call to check up on us. Hate will not divide us. Hate will unite us. We will not be shy to point out the silence and cowardice in many ranks of the Jewish leadership in Chicago and beyond. Quite frankly, and I say this to my friends, the fact that I recognize you does not mean that I will not be clear in that point. I'm disappointed in the ADL, a supposedly civil rights organization, rather than standing up for human rights and civil rights, attacking our children and their right to speak. And there are many other organizations we can point to, synagogues, the AJC, the Zionist Organization of America. They're doing the dirty work of a foreign government in this land. I will call you out. I will look at you and say, what are you doing? What do you stand for? To your face and in public. But to do this is not to forget to thank our friends who stand up in good faith. And to thank our friends is not to give a pass to others who don't. We have nuanced leadership. What can you do? The first thing I want you to do is to believe that you can. If you don't believe that you can change someone's opinion, you'll never do that. You'll never be able to do it. If you don't believe that you can call someone who is in elected office and influence them, you'll never influence anyone. If you don't believe that you can get an article published in the New York Times, you'll never get it published. If you don't believe that you can run for office and stand on your values without having to change your values and still serve this country to the best of your ability, you will never succeed in running for office. Believe that you can. The second thing is tell your story. We need to learn to tell our story. Muslims, for some reason, we haven't been really good at that. We may talk about numbers and data and historical narratives, but we don't tell human stories. Even in our rallies, there are chants, the hey-ho's, the hey-ho-ho, from here to here. All due respect. All due respect for these chants. What is the story? Who are you? Who is dying there? Tell me about your cousin. Tell me about your uncle. Tell me about your grandfather and grandmother who were uprooted. Tell their story by name and face. Tell the story of every child that's died by name and face. That is a message to all of us. It's not just to Palestinian activists. That is our role. You want something to do? Find a story and tell it to someone. Write a letter to the editor. Call a news desk. Talk to an official. Write a letter to an elected official and tell them a story. Stories are powerful. My Jewish friends understand this more than anybody. 6 million Jews killed in the Holocaust is a horrible thing to hear on the ear, but it doesn't instigate as much emotion as the story of Anne Frank itself was able to do. Obviously, we're not talking about the 6 million souls. I'm talking about the digit. When you put a number out versus a story, there's a different feeling, a different emotion, regardless of how gargantuan and monstrous that number may be. 3,000 children killed. We say it every day. Falls on deaf ears. But talk about one story. When we talked about Wadia, it was important for us to humanize his story. It was important for us to get ahead of the narrative. This is why these organizations are important. Remember what happened the last time 3 good souls from our community were essentially executed in a hate crime in North Carolina? They said, well, they tried to say, it was as a result of a parking dispute. And by the time they figured out it was a hate crime, that parking dispute narrative had created too much noise. It's important that we have organizations that know what they're doing, know how to get ahead of things and put the right narrative out. Because when you do that, everybody gets in line early and quickly. The media, it's been reported on nationally and globally, up to the President of the United States who has to call and understand what has happened and respond to it. No one can play around. No one can give you a different story. That is media work. Tell your story. The third thing is love each other. I want you to listen to me really carefully now. What I'm supposed to tell you is unite, but I don't say that because we always talk about unity, and it tends to become noise, just another word, unity. Frankly, if you unpack unity, the whole point of it is to love each other. We cannot unite unless we love each other. What do I mean by that? Well, I'll tell you what I mean without mincing words, because we're not here to waste your time or our time. For every masjid that has a board that is in a mini civil war, fix your problems. Love each other. For every 2 organizations that can't get along for the sake of the common good of this community, fix your issues. Love each other. For every community that is this or that, a Sunni, a Shia, this or that within the community, figure out your issues. Love each other. Unite. You know why you must unite? If for no other reason, you're all hated as one by those who hate you. You are hated as one. There isn't a different color or tongue or this board member or that sect. It's just Muslims. So you better unite as Muslims. And unity means many things. It means collaboration. It means coordination. There may be love, but we need to coordinate beyond the love. Tonight, we have another massive Muslim event somewhere else in the south side of Chicago, the mass event, and I pray for their success tonight. But again, quite frankly, this shouldn't be the case, quite frankly. We should band around one cause at least per night. There are 365 nights in a year. This isn't to point fingers. These are our friends. We love them, they love us. But if whoever declares a date first, everybody else has to get in line and support the cause as one ummah. If we're in a position where we think, oh, that's their business, this is my business, we don't get it. We can't build mosques without protecting them, and we can't protect mosques without the support of the congregations. We're one community. We have to have these serious conversations, brothers and sisters. You ask us to stick our necks out there, and we're happy to do it. We get docs, we get the hate mail. We're not victims, we're not heroes, but we're going to be honest communicators with you as much as the outside world. So help me God. And we need to have honest conversations. This should be the start, but not the end. We need to talk about what ails this community and to bring true unity through love, collaboration, and coordination for a common cause. The cause for justice. That is what drives us, and against hate, for the safety of our children and other people's children who ought to be playing with Lego and hide and seek instead of dying in the streets or in their homes being stabbed or in an open air prison from the skies. Don't wait for a crisis. I've had mosque leaders call me, what can we do? And I answer the question to the best of my ability, but not without first asking, what did you do last week or last month or last year about this question? You want an honest answer about what we can do? Do you want an honest answer? That's an actual question. Do you want an honest answer? Nothing we're going to do today is going to be as effective as you would want for today. But there is a chance, if we do what is necessary, 10 years from now, we will be completely effective. To have been effective today, the work had to start 10 years ago. Let's be honest with each other. Oh, Brother Ahmed, all these politicians are taking this position. Oh, you want to fix it overnight? Now that we've woken up and there's a crisis, let me pick up the phone. Hey, everybody, change your positions. My community would like you to change them. Brother Rami Nashashibi went to meet the president. He's being attacked by segments of our own community on Twitter as a sellout of sorts. Really? So we're not supposed to engage those who have influence and attempt to influence how they view things with the truth? We're supposed to sulk in a corner and let it go? Rami's a hero. He went there and he told strong stories. He told stories to the President of the United States, him and those who were with him. Those who are meeting with Jan Schakowsky or anybody. It isn't about, if we're meeting to take pictures, you have every right to criticize. But if the meetings are meant to engage and influence, then absolutely support that. Support engagement. Tell the story. Ask yourself every night before you go to bed, what stories have I told? What effort have I done? And every day you feel angry about something, make an action. If someone sends you an email about a ceasefire, to text this number to, do it. To write this letter to an editor or to an elected official, do it. And people call me and they say, I've done it, nothing changes. What now? And again I say, it won't change overnight. But if you don't do it now, we'll be in the same position 10 years ago as we were in a similar position post 9/11 20 years ago. These things add up, and they do make a difference. When I get a call from Senator Tammy Duckworth, it isn't because she just woke up one day and said, oh, I like this guy, let me call him. It's because she's received a lot of your calls and your emails. If at that level, that's a step forward, to have that engagement, and it gave me the opportunity to tell her our human stories face to face. It makes a difference. Every little step makes a difference. Invest in what's working. You have organizations that are able to have progress, able to change narratives in the media, push back against the monopoly that is out there in terms of what is happening here or abroad. Invest in organizations like this and others. We have so many other wonderful organizations represented tonight. Support those leaders who show courage and who stand on the right moral ground. Don't just applaud for them. Don't just thank them. Support them. Know their names, visit their websites, support them in your personal capacities. I understand 501c3s, we don't do that, but this is America. This is a place in which everybody should be civically engaged. If you don't like something, find something you like, and when you like it, support it so you get more of it. And we have here a table of wonderful elected officials that have stood with our community about this issue, and many, please stand up. These leaders have shed tears for our children. These leaders have challenged their peers. These leaders have spoken to the media. So finally, my brothers and sisters, it is important to do the work, but we have to charge our spirituality. But you can't just charge and then leave. So I tell those of us who contend to be religious, and I'm one of them, let's move beyond the notion that all that we need are mosques, and then more mosques. And I see the imams looking at me right now like, what are you talking about? But I've had these conversations with them and they actually agree. Because I use language carefully, it's my job, right? I said, that's not all we need. I didn't say we don't need it, we need it. But let's never settle for the notion that to be religious, the best and only thing you can do is to build a mosque. And then when it's been built, to expand it. And then when it's expanded, to get it better carpets and chandeliers. And then to build a section for this and a section for that. I'm glad we have that. I'm glad we do. Every community deserves that. These places, they harbor our children, they harbor our education, they harbor our spiritual growth. This is not to knock it. It's to knock stopping there. And to think that this has checked the box of giving to our community. We need to move beyond that. This is where we have spiritual recharging. But imagine if I gave you the best charger on earth and then denied you the iPhone. We charge in order to plug in and then cause change. But in the same way, activism means nothing without the spirituality. And if I try to use that phone and be a great activist, it'll be all too soon before I run out of battery. I'm going to need a charger. They come together, the spirituality and the activism. We are lacking on that latter part. We have to invest in it. Again, to be specific, I am calling for a 10% project where every mosque that brings in millions commits 10% of that income towards any form of activism they deem fit. Civic participation, civil rights, I'm not asking for CAIR-Chicago. That would be an allocated, earmarked grant in order to develop this community in that space. So 5 years from now, when I'm getting the calls, we're not saying just send the letter or make the call. We have grassroots power in these spaces. The last thing I want is for us to be here in numbers, for us to get strong support tonight. And then this ends, and then everybody goes home a month later, and we go to sleep until the next crisis. That is the last thing I want. The silver lining in this cloud, if there is one, is for us to wake up and realize that in order to be prepared for a crisis, we have to be prepared every day. We have to build towards that every day. And even without crisis, we're building our strength and our power. We will be able to promote our values and stand up to the censorship, stand up to the demonization, stand up to the dehumanization of us or anyone. This isn't about Muslims only. These principles apply to all of our fellow human beings, and as Muslims, we must fight for all. Fighting for all is fighting for one. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Thank you so much, Ahmed, for your words. Just really quickly before we continue with our program, I would like to recognize a few of our elected officials that are with us this evening. Please do stand as you're called. First and foremost, Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez of the 33rd Ward. Give it up. Rosana has immense political and personal courage. She is the only alder person in Chicago City Council to record her vote as no on the support of Israel resolution. Yelu Gutierrez of the 14th Ward also voted no. Cook County Commissioner Anthony Quezada. State Representative Lillian Jimenez. Aira Coral Sepulvedo. Billy Evans, the Chief of Faith Engagement for Mayor Brandon Johnson's office. And last one I'd like to recognize is Clayton Harris, the Democratic slated candidate running for state's attorney. If I missed any, I hope I didn't miss anybody. I really hope I didn't. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, and the next person that I would like to introduce to you all is Sheikh Hassan Ali. Sheikh Hassan is the Imam and Director of Religious Affairs at the Mecca Center in Willowbrook. He's been there since December of 2011. He's a graduate, yes, give it up. He is a graduate of the prestigious Al-Azhar University of Cairo, Egypt in Islamic Studies and Sharia. He has the Sanad Ijaza linked to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Quran and Hadith. He has held the position of Imam and served as the Director of Religious Affairs in many Islamic centers and has taught at Islamic schools in Egypt and the US. He's also the author of many articles published in newspapers and websites. Sheikh Hassan is the recipient of the Best Religious Speech Award from Al-Azhar University, Cairo in 2002. He's also hosted many Islamic radio shows in the US. Currently, he is a PhD candidate in theology and adjunct professor at Lewis University and University of Chicago. Please welcome Sheikh Hassan Ali.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, and peace and blessings be with all of you. You know, speaking about CAIR and standing with justice and being fair, I don't think it's fair for me to speak after Brother Ahmed Rehab, so please give him another hand. He did a great job. You know, Brother Ahmed was asking some questions, and subhanAllah, I was reflecting while listening to his powerful speech about what we learned from our traditional shuyukh or scholars, is that they taught us that always before doing anything or taking any step, before even planning for any important task in your life, you should always spend some time with your own self to ask your own self two questions: why and how. Why you're going to do what you're going to do, what is the purpose, and how you're going to do it. Whether is this a religious act or deed or worldly affairs or a plan or anything, you have to know the purpose before even taking one step. And so the question is why we're here tonight, all of us, in this very special time, why we're filling this room, bringing this faith and hope for a better future. We're here because we know that for more than 2 decades, CAIR-Chicago has been striving to enhance understanding of Islam, protect civil rights, promote justice, and empower American Muslims in the greater Chicagoland. And today we're all here to honor CAIR-Chicago for continuing to fight for human rights and against Islamophobia in this country. When a Muslim woman is told she cannot work or even walk here with her hijab, CAIR is there. When a student is being bullied by his teacher because he is a Muslim, CAIR is there. When somebody is not allowed to take breaks at work just to pray and reconnect with their Creator God, CAIR is there. When the FBI comes knocking on a Muslim doors for no reason, CAIR is there. When a Muslim immigration application are delayed or denied without a reasonable response, CAIR is there. When a Muslim are prevented from traveling abroad or having hard time re-entering to their country here in America, CAIR is there. When Muslims are prevented from standing for justice against injustice, whether it's here in our city, with our brothers and sisters from the African American brothers and sisters, or the Latino brothers and sisters, or even over there in Gaza or Kashmir or Burma or Syria or any other place in the world, CAIR is there. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help, the Almighty God, with His help, then the community's continued support, CAIR-Chicago will be there for all of us and for many others. And so, why we're here today or tonight? Because CAIR-Chicago is there. We're here because CAIR work and effect and impact is there. We are here because we believe in the mission of CAIR, and CAIR has always been about courage. They have taken courageous stances, and they have made it easier for many of us. We should continue to support. And if there was ever a time that we needed to stand with CAIR-Chicago, that time is now. Today, we need CAIR more than ever. And so we have to support CAIR tonight, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, we answered the question, why we're here. Now, the other question, do you remember the other question? How? And you have to answer this question for me. How is by donating and giving what you can give tonight. This is the time of support, the time of actions. Again, as Brother Ahmed mentioned, we have to plant the seeds of very strong trees, inshallah, to serve in years from today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty God, has told us that He instructed Noah, the prophet of God, to start build the ark, which is the shelter. You know, long time before the crisis to happen, long time before the flood. And so we cannot build our shelters at the time of the storm. This cannot work. And so we have to continue to work every day. And I want you all to remember this, because inshallah, very soon, next year, we want the same support from all of you. And we want even more support from all of you. So in order for all of us to be in a better position, inshallah ta'ala, many years from now. So tonight, we want to put some seeds so we can continue the work and anticipate better work in the future. I would like to ask an organization or a group of people or one individual who would like to support CAIR-Chicago tonight with $50,000. An organization or a group of people or an individual who believe in the cause of CAIR-Chicago and would like to support CAIR and the services that CAIR takes on their shoulders every day and every night with $50,000. Do we have the first hand? I'm looking for the first hand with $50,000. Do we have it? Okay, mashallah. We do have the first hand with $50,000. Please give them a hand. May the Almighty God bless them and accept from them. Say Ameen. Okay, if we have the first one, they always say that in fundraisings. If you have the first hand, it's easy to find the second one, right? So who would like to honor the first hand by donating and giving and matching with $50,000? By the way, the first one is anonymous, so they refuse to mention their names. I'm sure Brother Ahmed knew their names, so he can collect the money. Otherwise, it will be a problem. But we pray for them. Yeah. Another hand with $50,000. Do we have another hand with $50,000? You can raise your hand. You can ask one of our volunteers to give you one of the pledge forms. Huh? Another hand with $50,000. Do you have another hand with $50,000? If you're raising your hand, raise it up so I can see you. Huh? Okay. We do have another hand. Give them a hand, please. We have another $50,000. That's amazing. Okay, so now we have $100,000. Let's keep it. Do we have the third hand? Number 3 is always a great, blessed number. 3. Okay, do we have another hand with $50,000? Another hand with $50,000 to support the great work of CAIR-Chicago tonight. To be the voice of those who do not have voice. You know, I feel like I did a good deed tonight because Ahmed, you know, kind of, he spoke too much tonight, but it's okay. And I gave him the water so he can clear his throat. So I think this is a good deed, right? So he can continue, you know, say the truth, right? Do you agree with that? Okay. So do we have another hand with $50,000? The third hand with $50,000. We do have the third hand with $50,000. Give them a hand, please. That's amazing. So now we have 3. So this is, okay. The goal is 500,000. We still have some time here. Do we have another hand with $50,000? Do you have another hand with $50,000? You know, as Brother Ahmed said, I'm an imam. I've been working in mosques for like all of my life. And of course, I love investing in mosques because I believe that the mosques are the centerpieces of the community. But also, we know that we have dozens of great mosques in the greater Chicago area. But only one organization called CAIR-Chicago to take care of all of us, those who go and attend the mosques and those who do not go and attend the mosques. So the work of CAIR-Chicago is so important and so unique. And again, as we know, many scholars say that supporting this cause is part of zakah. This could be from your zakah money, because most of the cases that they take care of are for people who do not have enough money to hire lawyers or professional people to protect them. So this could be from your zakah tonight. We have another hand, $50,000. Give them a hand, please. Yeah. Okay. Okay, it's good. Okay, do we have another hand with $50,000? Brother Ahmed is asking me to move forward to 30,000, but maybe we have someone who didn't hear us earlier calling for $50,000. $50,000. Do we have another hand or another group or a table, you know, has the 10 people who can just talk to each other and say, you know what, maybe we can participate together and support CAIR-Chicago with $50,000. Do you have another hand? Do we have one more hand? طيب. I think we have another hand with $30,000. Give them a hand, please. This is from the Action Network community. Brother Saeed Shahnawaz Khan, $30,000. May Allah bless them and reward them. Say Ameen. MashaAllah. Beautiful community who always give for different causes. And, you know, I mean, I'm sure all of you are aware that in the past few weeks, all mosques in the greater Chicago, all mosques around the world, they called for urgent appeals to help and support the children of Gaza with humanitarian relief and medical relief. We always call for this, and we will continue to do that. And so we know that you are participating in this, but also we cannot help them if we cannot provide help to our own selves. This is very important. We cannot help them over there, whether they're in Gaza or in Kashmir or in Palestine or in Syria or in Burma or in any other place in the world, if we cannot strengthen our community here. So please try your best to support CAIR-Chicago. Do we have, okay, let's move inshallah so we can get more people. Do we have any hands with $25,000? $25,000. Do we have any hands with $25,000? I have one hand that ready to match you if you to say that I want to do that. If you want to donate $25,000, another hand will match this for you. Okay, we have it here, mashallah, Dr. Kudaimi. Takbir. Give them a hand, please. Dr. Kudaimi is one of our great leaders who've been supporting and leading CAIR-Chicago for years and years, and also is leading in many other organizations here in Chicago and in Indiana. May the Almighty God bless you and bless your efforts, Dr. Kudaimi, mashallah. So we have two hands for $25,000. Okay. Okay, let's move to $15,000. $15,000. Do we have any hands with $15,000, please? If you can donate $15,000 to CAIR-Chicago, whether you're having an organization or a group or a business group, or just again like a family or two families who can work together to just talk to each other and raise their hands. $15,000. That could be from your zakah. And again, this is the time to support CAIR-Chicago. And I want all of you to stay with us, because shortly after me, our beloved Imam Suhaib Webb, who is honoring us tonight, will inshallah talk in a very about very important topic, inshallah ta'ala. So please stay with us. Do we have another hand with $15,000? Do we have one hand with $15,000? We have one hand with $15,000. Give her a hand, please. MashaAllah. And I have another hand with $15,000. This is Brother Khalid Basta. This is from Al-Bawadi. $15,000. Give him a hand, please. Another $15,000, anonymous. Please give them a hand, please. Thank you, Sheikh. Barakallahu feek. Okay. How about $10,000? $10,000. Do we have any hands with $10,000? Bismillah. You know, we depend. After that, then just start reading those in order. طيب, okay. طيب. You know, as you know, CAIR-Chicago depends on us, only on us, right? After the Almighty God. So there is no government or foundation funding, right? And so if we don't support them and give them, no one will give them. Okay, we have $10,000 from the MCC, the Muslim Community Center. Give them a hand, please. MashaAllah. A beautiful community, beautiful leadership. May Allah bless them and give them more and more. Say Ameen. You know, I think somebody said before, no one has ever become poor from giving. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran before that, right? And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has told us that مَا نَقَصَ مَالٌ مِّن صَدَقَةٍ. Like if you think that your money that you will give tonight will decrease, will be taken away from your money that you have in your bank, you're mistaken. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, has promised to give you more and more and more. You know, before even building a masjid or having an organized community place for Muslims, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to gather with the youth, the early converts who accepted the religion of Islam, in the house of one of their, brothers, one of the youth, Al-Arqam ibn Abi al-Arqam. And mainly, Islam at that time was about establishing justice, social justice. At that time, prayer was not formal yet, fasting was not there yet, even Hajj wasn't there yet. And only thing that people used to practice is how to live together as brothers and sisters in equal way. Right? So standing for social justice is one of the main fundamentals of the religion of Islam. It's not something that we do only if we have to do. It's not something we do only if we're threatened by other people or that the rise of Islamophobia is getting higher. It's something that we have to do in our regular basis. It's part of our ibadah and worship to the Almighty God. We have another $10,000 from the ISNS. Please give them a hand. Another great organization, the Rolling Masjid. May Allah bless them. Beautiful organization and beautiful masjid, mashallah. Okay. Do we have, so we were talking about $10,000 and we got 5 people and organizations with $10,000 each. Let's move to $5,000. $5,000. One here. Give her a hand, please. Thank you very much, sister. Give her a hand, please. Another hand. Thank you, doctor. Give him a hand, please. Number 2. Number 3. $5,000. Number 3. Let's move this. Number 3. Thank you very much, sister. Give her a hand, please. Number 4. Thank you, brother. Give him a hand, please. May Allah bless you. May the Almighty God give you more and more for standing for the people, for justice. We have one here. Thank you, brother. Give him a hand, please. Another hand was $5,000. Another hand was $5,000. Do we have another hand with $5,000? We have 5 hands so far. Do we have another hand with $5,000? Do we have another hand with $5,000? We have one there. Give him a hand, please. Okay, I have some. And I have one here from Dr. Muhammad Hamada, Muhammad Abdul Ghani Hamada, $5,000. Give him a hand, please. I have $10,000 from Anonymous. Please give them a hand. May Allah bless them and accept from them. I have $2,000 from Brother Arshad Malik. Give him a hand, please. Thank you. It's okay. From Brother Rashid Ghazi, $5,000. Give him a hand, please. From Dr. Mu'taz Sumbuli, $2,000. Give him a hand, please. At this point, please send whatever you have, inshallah, to announce your name. We have from Dr. Anas Nahas, $2,500. Give them a hand, please.
15,000 from
50?
15 from ICN. Islamic Center of Naperville.
From Islamic Center of Naperville, $15,000. Give them a hand, please. Beautiful and powerful community. May Allah bless them. And again, they are striving in building their new beautiful masjid. So inshallah, all of us will help with that. We mentioned this, Dr. Qudaym. From Sister Isra Malik, $3,000. Give her a hand, please. From Dr. Shadi Lata, $2,500. Give him a hand, please. $5,000 from the ICCD Masjid. Give him a hand, please. Another beautiful masjid, mashallah, in these plains. May Allah bless them. Another $5,000 from Sister Samiha Khan, Saliha Khan, and Sayyid Khan. Give them a hand, please. May Allah bless them. From Brother Omar Raja, $4,200. Give him a hand, please. And Sister Maheen Raja, mashallah. Okay. Yes, we said that. Okay, do we have more hands? Do we have more hands, more pledges? Please send it now. We'll try to announce this very quick. From Mass Chicago, Brother Basil Abu Shaban, $3,000. Give them a hand, please. Faizan Islam, $2,500. Give them a hand, please. Unanimous, $2,500. Another $2,500 from Brother Tariq Lilwala. Give him a hand, please. From Brother Hussein, $2,500. Give them a hand, please. From Sister Nabila Rashid, $2,500. Give her a hand, please. From Brother Samir Afsar, $2,500. Give him a hand, please. From Sister Fairuz, from Brother Fairuz Bowler, $2,500. Give him a hand, please. From Brother Kamran Chowdhury, $2,500. Give him a hand, please. And then another $2,500 from Musalla Masjid Carpets. Yes, this is the Brother Noor, mashallah. Give him a hand, please. Yeah, please send your pledges if you have any pledges while we're here. This is your time to support and to give more and more for CAIR-Chicago. Ahmed, خلاص كده? Ahmed. We have more? Just a couple more before.
Dentech Solutions, 2500.
Dentech Solutions, Muwahid, $2,500. Give them a hand, please. And there is this is Dr. Mona Ahmed, $3,000. Give her a hand, please. MashaAllah. Yeah, please, if you can send like thousands of dollars, like $1,000 each, $500 each, $200 each, $100 each, whatever you can give. Whatever you can give, inshallah, to support CAIR-Chicago tonight. لا. There is $2,000 from Dr. Talal Sumbuli. Give him a hand, please. Okay, I think we should. So again, please, brothers and sisters, if you can give thousands, $1,000 each. Do we have some hands with $1,000? I didn't see 1,000s. Do we have few hands with $1,000? We have $5,000. From Ifanka, give them a hand, please. Another great organization. Thank you. Do we have $1,000? $1,000. We do have, Sister Sheen, mashallah. Give her a hand, please. $1,000 and $500. 1,500. Please send your pledges.
Becca, 2,500.
From Becca, BECCA, $2,500. Mecca Center sponsorship is $15,000. Give them a hand, please. طيب. Please keep sending your pledges. You have the pledge forms in your tables. Keep sending your pledges. And if you know anyone or any organization or any masjid, if you are a board member of any Islamic center, please ask them to allow CAIR-Chicago to come and to raise funds. This is very important for all of us. This is very important for all of us, and we need it today before tomorrow. May the Almighty God bless and accept from all of you. MashaAllah, from Ilyana Islamic Association, another $5,000. Give them a hand, please. Great supporters since the beginning, MashaAllah. تمام؟ خلاص احنا عشان Okay, we're good يعني? So again, everyone, please, we still have our Imam, Sheikh Suhaib Webb, who will speak soon, inshallah. So please, if I can ask all of you just to take a seat. Inshallah, I promise the program will end soon. Let's have a seat. Everyone, please, let's have a seat. And again, if you can send whatever you can send, whatever you can give tonight, from your zakah money or your sadaqah money, from your organization or on behalf of your group, send it now. We have $5,000 from Brother I'jaz Rahim. Yes, give him a hand, please. Thank you. Okay, let's make a collective prayer, just very quick prayer for those who donated tonight and for those who are going to donate and going to support. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from them. If you can join me in just one minute before we inshallah handle the mic to our Imam Suhaib Webb. اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا اللهم بارك لهم في أموالهم وفي ذريتهم يا رب العالمين اللهم بارك لهم في أموالهم وفي ذريتهم يا رب العالمين اللهم اخلف عليهم بخلف الصالحين اللهم أذن بالعدل والسلام أن يعم الأنام يا رب العالمين اللهم أذن بالعدل والسلام أن يعم الأنام يا رب العالمين اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده معصوما ولا تجعل فينا ولا منا ولا بيننا ولا حولنا شقيا ولا مطرودا ولا محروما اللهم توفنا مسلمين وألحقنا بالصالحين اللهم توفنا مسلمين وألحقنا بالصالحين اللهم كن معنا حيث كنا يا رب العالمين اللهم كن معنا حيث كنا يا رب العالمين اللهم كن معنا حيث كنا يا رب العالمين. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters, and may the Almighty God accept your donations tonight. And please keep giving to CAIR-Chicago so CAIR-Chicago can take more care of all of us. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, Sheikh Hassan. Thank you. Allah, God bless all of you who donated and who support us. Thank you so much. If you were not able to give a donation this evening, please do visit our website, www.cairchicago.org, and make a donation from there. You can also Zelle us at the phone number that's listed in the program booklet. It's 815-590-3991. If you Zelle that number, it will go to CAIR-Chicago. There's many other ways to give. Please look in your program booklets. God bless you and give you more. Okay, so we're going to continue with our program. It's an honor to introduce to you Sheikh Hassan. Oh, I'm sorry. No, just kidding. It's an honor to introduce to you all Sheikh Suhaib Webb. Sheikh Suhaib Webb is an American Muslim imam who converted from Christianity in 1992. He is a graduate of University of Central Oklahoma with a background in education. Imam Suhaib has served various communities in North America and is currently managing an institute for training imams in Washington, D.C. He has previously been the Imam of the Islamic Society of Boston Cultural Center, ISBCC. Imam Suhaib Webb is a contemporary American Muslim activist and speaker. He frequently hosts lectures and posts, yeah, y'all, come on. Respect for Suhaib. Imam Suhaib Webb, he has frequently hosts lectures and posts articles offering Islamic perspectives on modern day issues such as community involvement and social relevance. Younger generations greatly benefit from his accessibility to young people by being active on social media platforms. Please welcome Suhaib to the stage.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, send peace and blessings upon our beloved messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon his family and his companions and those who follow them until the end of time. Brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's great to be here in Chicago. I was here just a few weeks ago with MCC, who were celebrating their 54th year as a as a nonprofit, and that is an incredible accomplishment. And that night, community was extremely generous. Now it's an honor to be here, especially at this time, with CAIR-Chicago. And I remember Ahmed sent me a message a few weeks ago. I just said, like, I'm there. You know, you don't have to worry about asking. You don't have to worry about any red tape. If it's CAIR-Chicago and Chicago, I'll be there, bi'idhnillah. I want to, and thank you for listening. I know it's hard to sit this long, so I promise to make it quick. I just want to start with a phone call, and I want to center a moment around Palestinians and Gazans in general. You know, Gaza has a great history in Islam. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his grandfather Hashim ibn Abdul Manaf is buried in Gaza, as is his brother Abdul Shams. And in fact, in Tabuk, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Christians of that area brought the belongings of his grandfather to him. In Sayyidina al-Abbas, he actually distributed those things amongst Bani Hashim, the tribe of the Prophet ﷺ. And Abu Sufyan, he distributed the wealth of Abd Shams. And that's mentioned in the Quran, رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ. Those journeys that we read about in Surah Quraysh that were instituted by Hashim, the journey to the north was to Gaza, subhanAllah. The Prophet ﷺ, after his death, when Sayyiduna Abu Bakr, he sent Sayyidina Amr ibn As, the first city to accept Islam and to embrace Muslim leadership, most historians say was Gaza. And there are great luminaries from Gaza. Imam al-Shafi'i said, وَإِنِّي لَمُشْتَقٌ إِلَىٰ غَزَّةٍ. Imam Shafi'i, who was from Gaza, he wrote a poem about it. He said, خَالَتْكِ بَعْدَ تَفَرُّقِ وَكِتْمَانِ. It deceived me after, like me from Oklahoma. When I lived in Oklahoma, I hated it. When I left Oklahoma, I kind of like it. So Imam Shafi'i said, it deceived me. سَقَى اللَّهُ أَرْضًا ظَفَرَتْ بِتُرْبَتِهَا. Then he made dua, subhanAllah, for the people and the land of Gaza, rahimahullah. Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, he opened one of the most important masjids in history that was destroyed by the Crusaders and then rebuilt by the Turks, Masjid al-Umari. And Imam Ibn Kathir in al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, he mentions that the lessons and the academic achievements of this institution were unparalleled in their time. It's a lot of history there. It's a lot of history. And I think it's important that we center this moment around Gazans. I was in an action on Washington, D.C. on Tuesday that less than 24 hours gained 260,000 signatures. And yesterday I shared a video of children being pummeled and turned into powder by this genocide that's happening right now. And someone who I thought was an ally said, "Can you take that video down? It's traumatizing." And I said, "I can't do that." And then I said, "For you, you can turn it off." They can't even turn it off, and now they can't even turn it on. And how dare you center your trauma in this moment? So our brothers and sisters from Gaza, we love you, man. And the Ummah is with you. I know so many activists, imams, shuyukh, people who are giving everything they have for this moment. So you're not alone. وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. So never feel like people aren't there trying their best with everything they have, subhanAllah, to support you. My wife yesterday, she threw out her back. So we have 2 children now, and her mother is in her 70s. So I thought, Ahmed, don't get scared. I thought I was going to have to cancel. Because it's hard to take care of a 1-year-old with a messed up back. I know, because my back is perennially messed up. But then my mother-in-law, she said, "Isn't there that event tomorrow in Chicago where that boy was killed? That young kid, that young innocent child who's now being in the daycare of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam? That child who refused to enter Jannah till his parents enter Jannah?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You go. I'll take care of the family." There is efforts at all layers of the community that are there trying their best to support and work for this cause. So we just want to tell you, like, نحبكم في الله وضعناكم على رؤوسنا وذكركم في قلوبنا. We're with you, bidnillah. That takes us now to the moment. It's a tough moment, man. You know, I became Muslim in 1992, and this, I was there during the Oklahoma City bombing, the World Trade Center bombing, the first one, Oklahoma City, 9/11, ISIS, and these records are old. We're tired of hearing the song, but this is a little different. And there's just a few things I want to share with you, and I promise to let you go. The first is, what an amazing ummah we have, man. Like, did you see this ummah in this room right now? A lot of people probably don't even know where is Khan Yunus, where's Khalil, where's Hebron, but they're here. They don't know what is Asqalan, what the Prophet ﷺ said about Asqalan. Imam Ibn Hajar's Asqalani, that blessed area. But they're here. Jewish Voices for Peace is here. Muslims are here. Representatives are here. Because this is not strictly a religious issue. It's not strictly an Arab issue. This is a human issue. It is a litmus test for a person's commitment to humanity. As one incredible Palestinian activist, she said in front of her city council, it's on my Instagram, just a few days ago, Palestine is the litmus test of America. Palestine will show you where you really are and your claim to progressive values. Because we have to ask Joe Biden, are you a progressive politician or a progressive genocider? That is the question that has to be asked. You can't claim to say Black Lives Matter if Gazan lives don't matter. You can't claim to be a fan of environmental justice when 8,000 bombs have been dropped on the land of Gaza. You can't claim any type of allegiance to progressive causes if you have turned your back on Gaza. That's it. That's the end of it. And to our representatives, we're keeping receipts. States like Ohio, where we matter. States like Michigan, where we matter. Southern Florida, where we matter. Texas, where we matter. DC, we don't matter yet. New York, we're going to come after you. Don't think, oh, you only got us or Trump. No, it ain't that simple. You only have us. And if you waver on the test of humanity, you will lose our support. And it is not a political maneuver. It is something which is religiously mandated. We are forbidden as Muslims to be on the side of injustice. One of the names of God in our theology is Al-Adl, the just. Oppression is so abhorred in our religion. Inni haramtu dhulma ala nafsi, that God himself has stated that oppression on his behalf is impossible. Then what about us? فَلَا تَظَلَمُوا. There's a few more points I'll make. And that is that we have something in the Quran, in our theological nomenclature, called tamyiz, wa tathir, wa tamhis. We're being purified. Our ranks are being exposed from the performative, exhibitionist activism of some to those who are truly dedicated. And it's harm, it hurts, it's hard. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَمَّا الزَّبَدُ, as for that scum, فَيَذْهَبُ الْجُفَاءُ, it's going to go away. وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ, and what will benefit will stay. And Allah says, لِيُمَيِّزُ الْخَبِيثِ, Allah will distinguish what's impure from what's pure. وَلِيُمَحِّصَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, Allah will purify the believers. This is a moment not only for us to hold people accountable outside of our community, to take note of those who failed within our community, to give everything they had for this moment. Because this is bigger than us. Can you imagine that for the last 20 years, it happened to me. You know, I had death threats from ISIS, death threats from the far right. Fox News ran a special on me some years ago that caused people to try to physically harm me in Boston. Can you imagine that the same people who accused us of being a fifth column, sudden jihad syndrome, that now we stand in opposition of them to defend not only our community, but to defend the Constitution? CAIR is not simply defending the rights of Muslim students and Muslim citizens. At a 30,000-foot level, the work of CAIR is to defend the Constitution of this country. The irony. So when we see this purification happening, don't worry. It's part of a greater plan. I would rather know now where people sit than have to find out about it later on in a more difficult situation. Something else that I hear from people is that the celebrities they used to follow for political advice, right? Celebrities that they looked up to tell them how to be parents, right? How to eat. Celebrity doesn't have a chef to cook for them. The politicians that they thought were friends, corporate entities that they thought were, honest in their dedication to justice, begin to waver. In Islam, we actually believe this is a blessing, even though it's painful. And it's called tajreed, maqama tajreed. In Sufism, maqama tajreed is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will peel everything away from you that you thought you could trust. And the only thing left is God and people worthy of your allyship. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah has a great statement about this. He said, there is no greater blessing than you find yourself in a situation where the finite around you begin to fail. And the only place you can turn is Allah and those who truly matter. So it's not that we're losing, we're gaining. And we never thought that quality is in numbers. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أكثر أو أحسن. Who created death and life to test you, not to see who would do the most, but who would do the best. This is a great moment for us to reformat strategy, to recalculate allyship, to understand. When I saw Representative Cori Bush, I believe, from Missouri, last week in Washington, D.C., get up and say, I remember when Palestinians came to Ferguson and held my hand and spoke out against police brutality. She said, I remember. And she said, that's why my constituency, my black constituency, stands with Palestine. Don't forget those moments. I remember when the Boston bombing happened. Ayanna Pressley is one of the first people to call me before she was part of the squad of justice. Called my office and said, do you need anything? Do you need me to come there? Press conference, anything. I'll never forget her allyship. So I'm loyal to her. I support her when she's right. I support her. You're not losing. Allah, out of His infinite knowledge, is exposing to us the fragility of performative alliances and allowing us to reformat our alliances on sincerity and integrity. The JVP is here. I used to live in New York City. I was a professor, which would not happen now at NYU. And I saw what happened in Grand Central Station. I wish I was there. We see people in the community acting on their own. We will remember you. The last point that I want to touch on may be a little controversial, but it wouldn't be my speech if that wasn't going to happen. And that is that we're in the habit of looking for non-Muslims to validate our correctness. That's not healthy. We need to be more invested, specifically now, in amplifying the voices of Palestinians. And I say this, if you look at this is not a shameless plug. If you look at my Instagram page, it's not aesthetically attractive at all. But you find Generation Z Palestinians. You find you know how those young teenage Palestinians start every one of their Instagrams? I'm still alive. Can you imagine being 17 and having to negotiate, are you still alive? Can you imagine being a 13-year-old who has to talk about how you struggle to keep your phone charged so you can come on Instagram just to tell people that you're still alive? We should be more excited about our own than having to be validated by others. And I'm not othering. I'm scaling our community, us. We need to do for self We need to scale our own. We need to be excited. If a celebrity becomes Muslim, it doesn't make me feel better. Why am I excited if a celebrity becomes Muslim, but in my own mosque, there's a new Muslim I don't even care about? That's hypocrisy. We have to realign ourselves not to be sanctioned by broader white American culture, but we feel validated by the believers. And we invest in the call of the believers. And before anyone else, we give the attention to the voice of the believer. Of course, there's strategy involved in this, I get it. But I'm moved by the believers. So I want you to make sure as you contribute to this, Palestinians don't need to hear this. Make sure you're amplifying the voices of people there more than anyone else. You know why? Because their voice is closer to ikhlas. Someone up in Gaza right now, that 13-year-old girl, I think 17-year-old girl, Bayer, and I shared her. She's not doing that for likes. She's doing that for life. They're not doing that for likes. They're doing that for life. You know why I lost my voice? For Palestine. That's why I have no voice no more. But I'll still talk till my voice is gone. But remember this. Ya Allah. I can't do it. I do it, but then I'll be in trouble. And this reminds me of a Christian minister who came last week to Washington, D.C., who lost his voice for Palestine. And he brought a congregant with him from his church, and he would talk in his broken voice. Thank you. I need a shabi na'na from Gaza, man. And some hummus with filfil. That minister couldn't talk, but he said, I will not talk and he will talk. So in front of God, I did my duty to justice. But remember that bar I dropped on you now. People from Palestine are not sharing on Instagram and TikTok, X, whatever it's called now, Facebook, for likes. They're sharing it for life. And the more you and I amplify those voices and share that narrative, the closer that is to ikhlas, to sincerity. I'll finish with a phone call and a letter I received. I received a phone call a few days ago from a dear friend of mine who's Palestinian. I became Muslim largely because the first Muslim I met at a mosque was named Abdul. Abdul was bigger than a door, man, from Gaza. And I remember as, you know, a 19-year-old kid, I was scared, man. This is a big dude, man. He's like, you will come to my house. Now, white people, we don't do that kind of stuff, man. That's like some serial killer type stuff, you know. The Arabs are known for their karama, you know, their generosity. So I was like, man, I'll go to this dude's house. I don't even know him, you know. So I went to his house and he brought out some hummus. I'd never seen that before in my life. Big bottle of zayt with zaytun, some bread. And he had the Aqsa mosque behind him. A big picture of Aqsa. Abdul rahimahullah. He said, you know where I'm from? Because I wasn't Muslim yet. I said, no, he said, I'm from the land of Jesus. I said, wow, you're from the land of Jesus, bro. And we became very good friends. Abdul and I would play basketball after every Friday prayer, and I would destroy him for the sake of Allah. And he would, thank you. And he would say to me, you play soccer? It's like, nah, man. Because he was going to get me back on the soccer field. But I have personal relationships with Palestinian community that go deep. Sister here from California. I received a phone call from a very good friend, and I want to bring it home. Who said to me, I lost 67 family members in 3 days. 67 family members. And he was in such shock that he couldn't feel pain, or he just in a weird state, man. And yesterday, I received a message from a very dear friend from Gaza, lives in America, family there. I've never seen a question like this before. Is it permissible to ask Allah to take my family? Because I don't know if they can handle it, man. So in this moment, let us look to the future. The anger that we feel, the pain that we feel, as we've always done as a community, our resilience is unbelievable. No religious community has been subjected legally to what the Muslims have been subjected to in this country in the last 100 years. The separation of powers has gone out the window of the Muslim community. But we've stayed resilient, law-abiding, honest. We got politically active. We're voting people into office, not just for us, but for the broader community. We canvassed in Boston. Our former mayor, Marty Walsh, we canvassed for him. Ayanna, we canvassed for her. But let us think about 4 things, and I'll finish. Number 1 is who I consider like incredible brother and person Ahmed Rehab mentioned. Where are we going to be in 10 years? Enough of this waiting for things to happen, man. We have to start to scale the community in a way that brings the best, the brightest, and re-examines the governorship of our nonprofits. Because let's be honest, with respect, the governorship needs some updates. Like, y'all still using a Droid Razor. You know, there's an iPhone 15. The governorship of our nonprofits impacts attracting the most talented, gifted actors that we have in our community. The second is stop attacking each other in public spaces. And I say this, and I learned this from a member of the JCRC, which is, of course, the branch of AIPAC in every city across the country. I was sitting at a gathering one time, and I brought up an issue of a member of Jewish community continued to attack Muslim community in Boston, demanded that the mosque be physically destroyed. So I asked this individual from the JCRC, would you be willing to publicly censor this individual for this act of this illegal kind of stuff? And he said to me, we don't censor each other publicly. We handle it behind closed doors. I appreciate that. As one new Muslim told me, I've never seen people love like Muslims, but I've never seen people hate like Muslims. Why are the most popular podcasts and YouTubers and TikTokers slowly bent on destroying our imams and religious leadership and teachers and imams and mosques and institutions and sisters and those who are the most vulnerable in our community? It's not about what you destroy. It's about what you can build. And if we continue to destroy each other, there will be nothing left to defend ourselves. And that's why Shawqi, and I don't want to get too technical, in his famous poem, لَمَّا أَتَمَّ نُوحٌ السَّفِينَةَ, when Sayyidina Nuh, he finished the ark of Noah, and the wave started to hit the boat, he says, جَرَى بِهَا مَا لَا جَرَى بِبَارِي فَمَاتَ عَلَى الْمَوْجُ كَالْجِبَارِ حَتَّى مَشَى اللَّيْثُ مَعَ الْحِمَارِ وَأَخَذَ الْقِطُّ بِأَيْدِ الْفَارِ. He said, the waves became so strong and everybody became so scared on the boat that traditional enemies found the capacity for unity. The lion and the donkey became friends. The wolf and the sheep became partners. So what he's saying is, if the Muslims are not able in the face of real existential threat to find the capacity for unity, then they are worse than hayawanat. This is not the time for that. I know Rami Nashashibi, I've known him for 20 years. I don't have to agree with everything Rami says, like he doesn't agree with everything I do. But I trust what he would do in the White House. I trust what he would do in that space. And if I don't, let me call him. Because if we continue to destroy each other in public, not only do we weaken our ranks publicly, but also we undermine the trust we have for one another privately. And that creates a community that's fractured and broken. It's okay to be critical, but there's a way to be critical. The third, don't underestimate the power of worship and your role. A lot of people contact me and they said, it reminds me of after 9/11, our generation, MSA West generation that we talked about earlier. You know, many of us after 9/11, we weren't good Muslims. We didn't feel that we were pious enough to contribute. But how many people came from difficult situations spiritually after 9/11 and became stars of the community, subhanAllah. Don't underestimate what you can bring to this moment. If you feel emotionally invested in what's happening, that is an adequate evidence to you being eligible to participate in the greater project of Islam and Muslims in America. You have a role to play. The last is not to stay at home and get angry. Don't boil in angst alone. I notice, I can always tell when people have been on social media a lot and they haven't been on, they've been online and off life. And that is because they're really successfully intolerable. They just can't function with people. The layering, the maturity, the richness, the patience, the ability to work through difficult conversations, right? That's why America is where it is. People are connected, but they're not connected. People are incapable of having conversations like they used to have because everybody's having conversations with their screen. Do not allow yourself to boil alone. Take this opportunity to do three things. Number one, push into community. Attend demonstrations. Be with humans. Be with people who care, that you're reminded, as we believe, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, the essence of people is good. We believe this. And that comes when you're around people, when you see Jewish brothers and sisters and Catholic brothers and sisters. I saw atheists, man, down for Gaza, down for humanity. Because Gaza is only a microcosm of what's wrong with the post-colonial world. That you can dismiss and colorize others in a way that allows you to mistreat them and run over them. When we look at the Gazans, we look through the eyes of a people that take us all the way back to the Sioux and the Cherokee of this country. There's intersectionality here. So when we engage, we are reminded of our religious duty to have hope in people. The second is care. You know, when I came back from Egypt, the FBI called me about 3,000 times, man. That's a weird call. You get that call, it's like, oh, man. It's the feds. They were polite, but they still the feds. And on the other end, in Boston, the feds helped us. But they kept calling me. I'm an imam, I can't afford a lawyer. So I said, man, Johnny Cochran's dead. Kardashian's gone. I'm in trouble, man. So I called CAIR. Hey, this is Suhaib. Hey, Mom, how are you? I'm not doing very good. Well, you know, my phone is blown up like the 4th of July, man. And I remember what Brother Hilal told me. Some of you may remember Hilal. We'll handle it. Next thing I know, Muslim lawyer called me. Don't underestimate what you can bring to the community. Those of you who are involved in law. Those of you that have, these are interdisciplinary challenges, right? Imams and shuyukh can't do everything. That's impossible. Activists can't do everything. These are interdisciplinary difficulties. They're complex. They're layered. I talked to that lawyer. My phone ain't rang since. Alhamdulillah. I'm worried now. Changed my number. All my experiences with law enforcement haven't been bad. They saved me from ISIS when ISIS tried to kill me. I appreciate that. It's very meaningful. But I remember what CAIR did for me. And then I started to talk to Yemeni brothers and sisters in Oakland, in the Tenderloin. And I would find people that no one knew about, people that may have trouble speaking English, people who came from Punjab, people who came from parts of India who were new to the country and frightened in a post 9/11 world. And 9 times out of 10, CAIR was there to help them. So I want to encourage you to take this moment that 10 years from now, as Ahmed said, we got it right. 10 years from now, we scaled away business leaders, those of you who understand what it takes to scale and to grow and to bring in professionalism, don't get impatient with Muslims. Push in. Attorneys, lawyers, mental health providers now, you're needed. The community is traumatized. We're so traumatized. Push in and scale this community so that from 10 years on, inshallah, we're getting it right. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, Suhaib, for those wonderful words, you all. All right, so I know it's a school night, I know it's a work night. Thank you all so much for coming out on a Sunday. But before y'all leave, please welcome Dr. Kudemi to the stage for our closing remarks. Dr. Kudemi.
السلام عليكم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة على رسول الله. I wrote a couple of sentences before the function started, which was kind of a little bit on the downside there. A little bit of, depression and so on. But mashallah, after what I've listened to today from our shuyukh, I'm pretty much beat up there, inshallah. Say Ameen. 10 years ago, I stood in here and talked about the civil rights struggle of our African American brothers 50 years after the Civil Rights Act was, approved by Congress, okay? And they're still struggling, okay? And we should learn from that and take you there, okay? Our work is cut out for us, and that doesn't mean we should give up. We should continue to be upbeat, optimistic, and do what we're supposed to do. We're part and parcel of this great American experience there, and nobody can deny us our rightful place in this country there. We are all part of this mosaic, whether Christian, Jews, atheists, Hindu, Muslims. We are all supposed to work for the benefit of each other and for the success of this experiment. We have civil rights. Nobody can deny us those rights there. And I promise you, and I want you to promise me as well, we will not be silenced. We will not be silenced. When we see an injustice, we're going to do something about it. We're going to speak about it. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us, and as long as we are, holding to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nobody will lose, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I just need to call the volunteers. Sure. Jazakumullahu khairan. Once again, thank you guys so much for coming out. Volunteers, you cannot leave without a picture. So y'all have to come on the stage, please. We'll take a picture. Everybody get home safely, and thank you so much again for your support. If you'd like to donate more or donate throughout the year, please visit www.CAIR-Chicago.org. Thank you all so, so much. Volunteers to the stage, please. Volunteers to the stage.